Attention passengers, we've now reached our destination.
Oi, gente, tudo bem? Quanto tempo! Beleza? Vamos começar. Today we're going to talk about the discovery of the Americas. Who here has relatives in the New World?
Miss Yasmine?
Yes, girl with glasses?
I think we have many distant relatives in Brazil.
Muito obrigada, garotinha. You see, most countries have their little China or their little India hidden on a tiny street somewhere. But Brazil has a big Lebanon. More exactly, the bigger Lebanon, which incidentally makes us a little Brazil. Well, of course, that is in addition to being a little Armenia, a little Palestine, a little Syria, a little Iran, a little Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Emirates, a little Turkey, and more recently, even a little Bangladesh. Right before the financial collapse, that is, which turned us into a little Venezuela. In case you were wondering, little France used to be on this long list too, but we all know how France itself has become 1,000 other little things. So I had to draw the line somewhere. Anyway, you will find just about everyone here. Except maybe for the Lebanese themselves, because they've all packed up and moved out. Yes, mostly to Brazil. In the late Mamluk period, Kamal Lebbos left the coast of Tripoli and sailed west to Cyprus, seeking a better future. Well, that's where he was headed initially, but he took a wrong turn, got lost on the way, and ended up in Italy. Over there, he opened a Lebanese bakery selling manaish, za'atar and cheese to the locals because he thought who could resist an exotic touch on their bread? His specialty was mixing both toppings together. One day, the orders kept piling up, so to keep pace he went faster and faster. When he wasn't paying much attention, he mistakenly grabbed the tomato sauce instead of the za'atar and accidentally invented pizza. Yes, it was so popular with the locals there, it became a national dish. They also gave him a local woman for a wife, along with the Italian citizenship. The newlyweds soon had a boy they named Christopher. I'm sure you've heard of him. He grew up to become that famous explorer, Christopher Lebbos, who actually discovered the Americas, also by accident, while sailing to the Far East. Because just like Lebbos Sr., Lebbos Jr. hated nothing more than asking for directions. But little did he know, the Americas had already been discovered way sooner by his ancestors, the Phoenicians, who ran some of the largest container shipping companies in the world. They transported all sorts of cargo, especially their famous cedar wood. At one point, demand for it skyrocketed. Kings and noblemen were using it in all of their prized constructions. The wood also had such a wonderful scent. Perfume houses in Paris ordered whole mountains of it. Cedar oil was also an ideal embalming fluid for mummification, so the pharaohs of Egypt were buying the trees faster than the Phoenicians could chop them down. And chop them down they did, until only a single tree was left. Yes, that's the one you see on the flag. Back then, Paris wanted to save its perfume industry, so it initiated what became known as CEDR, an economic conference that promised financial support for the cedar reforestation initiative, with soft loans of up to 11 billion euros. But it kept dragging out and no funds ever showed up. So eventually, it was time for Plan B. That's when the great Phoenician king sent out a scouting crew to Brazil to investigate the Amazon rainforest for alternative timber sources. But the men that went on that exhibition loved it there so much they never returned. You know, because of the Rio Carnival. It can be very distracting. Tum 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 tum. Oh, sorry, where was I? Yes, the king then sent his prime minister to go get them back ASAP. But when he got there, the unexpected happened. وانطلاقاً مما أؤمن به من مبادئ شجرة الأرز العظيمة فإني أعلن استقالتي من رئاسة الحكومة. Yes, he announced his resignation in a shocking televised address. And thankfully so, otherwise there would be nothing left to save in the Amazon rainforest today. We would also have a kapok tree as a national emblem on our flag. But more importantly, Parisian perfumes would smell awful. Anyway, the king then went on a spending binge with Plan C, a drastic makeover of the whole economic model. The empire was to become the world's expo, an international center for trade fairs. That's when they borrowed from everyone's bank accounts to build the most magnificent exhibition center in the heart of Tripoli. Ironically, the winning design was from Brazil. It promised to turn the city into a little Brasilia. They quickly began the extravagant construction back then, and by the looks of it, they are still not quite done yet.
Yes, Yasmine.
Yes, Your Highness.
What happened to Christopher Lebbos?
Good question, George. After a long wait, Canada finally opened its doors to immigration. Over there, he discovered that the Little Lebanon his dad had told him so much about was actually in Montreal all along.